Cicero was born on January 3rd, 106 BC, into a wealthy family in the city of Arpinum, which is not far from Rome. Arpinum recently became a state of the Roman Empire, so even though he was wealthy, he was not of a high status compared to the other Romans that had been living there for many years. However, he worked his way up later in life by serving high magistrates in the Republic. He was considered a novus homum, or new man, because he was the first man to be involved with Roman politics in his family. Because his family was wealthy, they were able to send him to Rome to have an education and study rhetoric and philosophy, which would prepare him for public life. Once he was educated, he began his political life. He started off as a quaestor, which is a public official who administered finances of the treasury. He then worked his way up to be an aedile, which was a position that managed buildings and public affairs. After that, he became a praetor, which served as a judge in law courts. Lastly, he became a consul, a chief magistrate who convened and presided over the Senate and assemblies. Cicero was one of Rome's leading orators at the time and spoke at many political assemblies. Romans wrote for public speaking rather than silent reading, so Cicero has many letters that he read for the public that people can still see today. Cicero was a man of many talents and wrote almost everything. He wrote books, speeches, letters of politics and philosophy, and he even wrote poetry, which wasn't necessarily his strongest point. Cicero wrote many books and hundreds of letters. Some of Cicero's more well-known pieces are Epistolae ad Atticum, Epistolae ad Familiares, and Epistolae ad Brutus. Epistolae ad Brutus, or Letters to Brutus, are interesting to read because it talks about the rivalry between Cicero and Julius Caesar, who Brutus later on ends up killing. Some of Cicero's famous books include Pro Flacco, Pro Lege Manilia, and In Toga Candida. Archaeologists have been able to find many of his works. However, it is hard to read some of them because they were not well preserved. Mark Antony and Cicero were never fond of each other due to a strong political rivalry about position of power toward Caesar. After Caesar's assassination, Antony assumed power. Therefore, Cicero continued to be a major opponent towards Antony, but Cicero used words, both spoken and written, to fight rather than weapons, like Antony. Even though they were never companions because they were included in two different parties, Cicero spoke out to the public against Antony, saying, "The young man should be given praise, distinctions, and then be disposed of." In response to this, Antony put Cicero's name on a proscription. A proscription is a list of people who the ruler wants to kill, and whoever kills this person gets a reward with money. A man named Hessinus captures and kills Cicero, cutting off his hands and head, and then puts them up in the forum as a sign to everyone that this is what happens if you speak against Antony. He was killed on December 7th, 43 BC.